We talk about the mod collection every Sunday, but it's been a while since we've got to document one. I'm really sad they don't do the secondary name on the tag anymore. Or maybe this one was just a fluke. But if you're not familiar, the mod collection is where factory seconds go to get new life, either being modified or completely refinished, and some of these can be very fun. And the one we're documenting tonight was named the Dire Wolf. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. I was really glad when Benjamin over in France contacted me asking if he could use my forwarding service to get this, because I also agree this is one of the coolest mod collections that we've seen in the past couple of weeks, because it has a really cool balancing of unique, quirky elements that not all SGs have, but yet it's not too crazy or over the top. But this one has quite a story, so let's get into it. It started life looking like this. It's just a regular Gibson USA 61 SG standard. They're going to run you $1,999 brand new, but this one was listed in the mod collection for a $600 premium. Differences include a brand new natural finish with some natural racing stripes in the center. They also continue on to the edge. That's a lot of fun. As well as a natural finish stinger. All right. Pair that with pearloy tuner tips and golden hardware everywhere, and a new set of barkin pickups, and you've got the Dire Wolf SG, whose cosmetic choices make it look like a neck-through instrument, kind of like a Firebird, but no. So what's the big deal about this whole Dire Wolf situation? Let's look at this Time magazine article. About a month or so before this was launched in the mod collection, there was a big hubbub about they're bringing dire wolves back from extinction. They've taken DNA, spliced it with regular wolves, and they're back after 12,500 years. As with most animals from long ago, they were giant, massive creatures. We're talking nearly the size of a saber-toothed tiger, so much bigger than even our largest wolves of today. That's right, those almost mythical-like creatures from the Game of Thrones series. They're here. Everybody's gonna click that article, but if you actually dig into it, no, not exactly. There's a lot of videos on YouTube that debunk that story. But yes, they have genetically made animals that are ever so slightly closer to what was once known as the dire wolf. And if you ever see stories about them bringing woolly mammoths back, yeah, it's kind of similar to that. So due to that, the mod collection guys were like, hey, let's jump on this hype train. However, a few commenters on the episode that featured this one before we got it, they said, hey, I think that might also be a Grateful Dead reference. You know, Jerry Garcia, he's got all these cool guitars. The one right here is known as the Wolf. If you look on the back of the headstock, it almost looks like it says Dire Wolf in a different language, but no, that's not exactly what that is. But that was a custom built guitar for him that is neck through. It's not exactly SG shaped, but those other ones we were looking at are, but has this cartoony looking wolf on the guitar, and he's got other ones with other animals. But he actually has songs that reference dire wolves, such as the 1970 hit Dire Wolf. And let's face it, we already know there's some deadheads at Gibson, because in 2018 they created this very cheeky tribute of one of his guitars, but Gibson called it the SG Flying Eagle. It's got all the cool inlays, crazy figured neck, triple pickups. You can learn more about this one in that episode. I think we can all agree they do have similar vibes here. This one's just going more for that whole neck through construction and trying to stay on a different budget than the Eagle. But both are quite impressive guitars. So we've got some fun references and cool appointments. But what are my first thoughts on this as a guitar? It's really lightweight, and to be honest, the neck is a little bit chunkier than I was expecting. Like, it's still on the slimmer side, but it's got a great roundedness to it. And after a fretboard conditioning, that thing's gonna look pretty sweet. But besides just the guitar, we also get our regular hardshell case. It's the square latched version, brown exterior, red interior. And as far as case candy, in our black baggie, we get our regular stuff, including a Gibson polishing rag. You get a basic strap, case keys, silica packet, join the Gibson app, and our multi-tool. But for 2025, the mod collection appears to have gone back to full-sized booklets. For a long time, they were only doing a half booklet. So that's good to know, but let's double check, make sure it matches. Yep, that looks good. And it looks like they're still doing this checkoff list where they rate the guitar and things that they saw that were wrong with it, as well as give you a sheet with that you can scan to learn about the 2-year limited playability warranty. Overall, it doesn't seem that the mod mod collection's changed too much over the years, mainly just that COA booklet and the box tag. And if you're wondering why I'm so sad about that, is because sometimes this name underneath it would be different from what was posted on the website. So we know it's called Dire Wolf online, but it might have been called Ice Cream Man or something over here. But to learn more about this one, let's go ahead and throw it over onto the Workbench to take an individual look at its parts and specs. And while I'm conditioning that fretboard, if you need something out of the mod collection and you are outside of the United States, I am here to help with my forwarding service. In fact, that's how we document a lot of fun guitars. For example, this is not Ben's first time using my service. He's also that same one that did the cool Warmoth custom Stratocaster from 1996. And feel free to check out my New Guitar Day playlist where I put all forwarding and New Guitar Day guitars in. Inside the furry beast. Appreciating this whole natural hue makes me think I would love to see a second one of these done with a white TV finish, kind of dog hair like. Maybe do the black stripes. I've never watched Game of Thrones, but one of theirs has a similar look to it. I think they call them Ghost. That would be pretty cool, but I've always loved these natural hues where you can still see the wood grain underneath, and this one's got a whole bunch of that. And just in case you were curious, no, this is not actually a neck-through guitar. They did not use multiple pieces of wood to construct this. You can see the wood grain structure underneath stays the same. The way they do this is they tape off the lines that they want to leave the original mahogany color, and then they spray it over in this more ambered hue, and then they remove those and apply a clear coat, is my understanding of it. So what we're seeing here should be the actual color of the mahogany versus the staining, and we can confirm that. If you look right up here by the neck, you can see some bare wood that doesn't have the ambering to it. But earlier I said we've got some bark-in pickups. What did they throw in here? Well, they're uncovered. However, pay special attention. We've got golden pole pieces on both of them, including golden pickup height adjustment screws. But it's a 496 model in the neck, and everybody knows what goes with that. 500T. But what shocks me is the date on these. August 1st of 2016? Okay, this one's the 10th, but almost a whole decade before these things got used. Or maybe they came off of a warranty guitar. I'm not sure. They do have a little bit of a patina built up on the backside of them. But our readings in the circuit, 15.05 in the bridge, less hot in the neck at 854, and they play together at 545. This is the same set that you'll find in like the Modern Flying V, the SG Zoot Suit series, even the Buckethead Les Paul. I have a love-hate relationship with this pickup set. Some guitars, they sound really, really good. Other ones, I think they're too hot and aggressive. This set does not pair with every guitar beautifully, so we'll have to see how this works on here. But let's check out our pickup cavities. We can see how long the neck tenon is, so they route that away, but here's where it ends. So if you're curious why they took a pickguard off but still gave us a neck tenon cover, that's because no matter what they do, unless they inlay something over top of the neck after they put it in, which is probably just more work than it's worth, they throw one of these on here. So that's why usually they will always leave those in place. But what's fascinating is the VE branding here. That stands for Vintage Cherry. So this was originally slated to be cherry, but I don't think it was ever finished cherry because you would probably still see some of the red in those pores. But the bridge pickup cavity looks similar, just branded SG61, as that is the style that they're going after. And there's a few more areas where you can see your bare mahogany here. But what I really like about this is we already know this could be seen as a racing stripe or neck through vibes, but look, this is a 2-piece center seam, so again it kind of looks like a neck through Firebird with their 9-piece necks, except for this one would be around 12 pieces. But if the new owner of this one happens to also be a Grateful Dead fan, he could always just put a sticker right there or pay someone to inlay one. But if you're curious what it would look like with gold pickup covers, just imagine the rings are still there. I think they made the right decision here. The uncovered work complements this finish very well. But being Gibson USA production, you've got a Nashville style bridge with bushings in the body, and it's a lightweight API branded one with Allen key adjustments in the top, with a matching bridge by the same company, Advanced Plating. And all the plastics were changed on this. Gibson does not use this exact knob on factory stock guitars. These look slightly aftermarket and they're very amber. And then we've got a black switch tip, but that's just your regular 3-way toggle output jack. Volume, tone for each pickup. Here's a close-up look at one of these knobs. And the backside. The reason I took it off is it came off relatively easily. But what if I told you there's something else to this guitar? Now, I might have missed this had I not went back and read our listing. There actually is some slight golden metallic flakes in this. Look closely in this area, you can see just a few of them splattered around. Now, do I think this was intentional? I guess I can't say for sure, but that really just looks like somebody was spraying a gold top beside this, and uh-oh, got some contaminations, let's call it a feature, but I could be completely wrong on that. They might have said, hey, let's have a little bit, but there's just not enough. Like, unless you know to look for it, you can't really see it. So I was really curious when unboxing this just how prevalent those gold flakes would end up being. They're certainly not distracting if you were worried about that. But moving on from our two-piece mahogany body, we've got a complementary mahogany neck with a rosewood fretboard. As I was thinking, nice conditioning process darkened that up beautifully. You've got some nice wood grain on that board too, with our regular acrylic trapezoid inlays. We've got a nut measuring 1.7 inches, increasing to 210 at the 12th, 0.84 first fret neck depth, and hey, 0.93 by the 12th. What I was feeling earlier definitely holds true. Not the skinniest SG neck, not the thickest. I would still say on the skinnier side of medium, though. Here's a look at that neck profile at the 1st fret and the 12th fret. You can see it definitely gets wider, but stays about the same shape. However, oh my goodness, that is a really sharp fretboard edge. I've been spoiled with a bunch of custom shop stuff lately that has rolled edges. I don't think your average person would notice that, but as this gets played, it'll slightly wear down that edge. But for technically initially being a factory second, they have like almost no tooling marks on this. This was a very beautifully crafted guitar. Now the face of our headstock, another area where we can see the true color of the mahogany in our truss rod cavity. And they put one of these blank black covers on it. And for a perloy tip, these look really good. They've got some nice movement to it. Sometimes perloid ones you're like, oh yeah, that doesn't look that good. I could see how somebody would confuse this for the real deal mother of pearl stuff. Generally speaking, most tuners are perloid. However, if it's cold to the touch, that's how you know it's real pearl. These are not, but it matches beautifully with our crown and our pearl Gibson logo. But now we can move on to the backside. Nice and clean look back here. However, not gonna lie, that might be the worst soldering work I've seen out of Gibson. Now keep in mind, this is an original collection guitar that was deemed the factory second. It got reworked, and I don't think they rewire all of them up. They just use what they have existing. But that does look kind of messy. Not the nicest soldering work I've seen, even out of the mod collection. The ground wire is kind of interesting. It's got a bunch of curly cues in it like it was way too long. They definitely had to redo that at some point. We still have our orange drop capacitors though. And sadly, no push-pull pots, so just regular humbucker tones. But they still are Gibson branded. Should do the job, but that's the reason why they have the 2-year playability warranty. If you get the guitar and one of the pickups doesn't work because it got jostled loose in shipping or something, you send it back, they'll fix it and then ship it on back to you. It doesn't cost you anything, and that is transferable. And that's what I like about it, back when I used to buy these a lot more. Now, with this one going over to France, I'm not sure if it'll still have a warranty or not. Maybe the EU collection could help the guy out if something happened, but something to keep in mind. As far as the rest of the back, it actually has some pretty decent chatoyant movement to it. A little bit of figuring within the body. Lots of knots in the wood. This one right here is especially knotty because when you shine the light over it, it actually has a large indentation around it. Like maybe it needs to be filled over top of, I'm not sure. Besides that, there is a small ding right here on the top of the headstock and some ugliness in the finish right here by our nut. Those are the things that stood out to me on my inspection. But we might as well take a second to appreciate the edge because unfortunately, these are the unsung heroes of the mod collection guitars. You don't ever get to see them as much as I would like in their photo sets. But hey, look at that. A little bit of dancing right there. That's what you'll see when you're playing it too. And a little bit down here too. That's just a great piece of wood. It's a nice looking piece. Now running up our one-piece mahogany neck, we eventually get up here. And in the recap episode, I told you, look closely. There actually is a dark layer in between here. So natural mahogany, a little bit of dark, another layer of natural, and then the dark again. And then I saw it also runs along the edge. However, we didn't get to see this. They actually did the top side too. That's actually really sweet. One of those things most people won't get to appreciate except for the instrument owner inspecting their guitar. Cool. But looking back here, even though it's the natural mahogany color, it still looks like they have a dark grain fill in it, as you can see within your serial number. So not 100% pure. And did you notice it's got locking Grover tuners? Some people view that as an upgrade. But this neck was stamped on the 345th day of 2024. Initial batch production number 300. Again, on that particular day. Made in Nashville, Tennessee, USA. But all put back together now, it weighs 6 pounds, 3.1 ounces. Let's go ahead, plug it in, and hear its growl. For being hot ceramic pickups, they do have some nice tones out of them. But you can still hear that attack to it. The neck pickup doesn't work so well in the dirty channel for chord. You definitely want to be on your bridge for that. But that doesn't mean you don't get sick leads out of it. So there we go, a mod collection guitar from the year 2025. Not much has changed with these guys. It's same old, same old. They redo their guitars to make them look cool. Are you going to find some blemishes? Yes. Are they not going to be 100% perfect? Also yes. However, I had a fantastic time with this. So thank you, Benjamin, for trusting me once again to forward on this guitar, as well as make a video out of it. All this needs is a friendly little wolf thrown on here somewhere, whether it's here Garcia style or on the back of the headstock instead of our Gibson mod collection decal. But you know what, now that I think about it, that is something that is different that I forgot to mention about the other ones. They're no longer stamping a mod, they actually have this new decal. It says mod collection underneath it. But if we could replace that for a wolf, then I would be really happy and I probably would have bought it myself. But I've got to say, the playability of this one is excellent. It's one of those ones where the bridge pickup, nice and chuggy. Even though hot ceramic, I normally think heavier things, I was getting some good rock tones out of it as well. And I was surprised how nice the clean tones were. So even though it was a bit of a gamble, you never know how guitars are gonna feel and play when you buy online blind. I think he won in this case. So all right, we'll get this shipped on over to France. And once again, if you ever need help getting something out of the mod collection or a seller who just does not ship overseas, I'm your guy. We have a lot of fun doing stuff like that. But I hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care.